All right, this is the physical environment, and the physical environment is the realm of doing. And most people think that doing is basically just all about taking action, but doing is also having the wisdom on when not to take action. See, we have been conditioned to work hard, to put on effort, and then the idea that we have is that the more effort we put is the more outcome and the more things that we get. And I think that's false, right? Because sometimes we actually have to pause, sometimes we actually have to let go, sometimes we need to rest in order for things to grow, for things to manifest, for things to come through. And doing more than we need to, we are basically tampering with our processes of actually getting what we want. So the physical environment is really the right use of effort, the right idea of understanding when to exert energy and when to hold, to be present, to be still, so that whatever effort that we put out could actually ripple back to us. So, coming back to the graph, at this point, it's absolute madness. So, this is where I want you to just bring yourself to the color blue, right? On this side, I've created a bridge, right? Where on this side is really the internal side of things that you can control, your inner environment, you, right? And then here is your outer environment, things that you cannot control, that you cannot consciously and just go ahead and do it. You actually have to let go to the external environment, right? And think about it this way: in your body, there's a catabolic process and an anabolic process. Catabolic process is really about releasing energy. It's about putting effort, taking action, exercising, moving, getting things done. There's a breaking down process as you do this. And then on the other side is about storing energy, the anabolic process, the building up process. And after you break down, you have to build up. And the synergy of breaking down and building up, when it comes together in a great synergy, you get growth, you get transformation, you get things coming through for you. Too much too soon, too much catabolic processes, you break down too much, you get too stressed, nothing gets done. Too much anabolic, too much of a good thing, too much pleasure, too much food, too much rest, you get complacent, you get lazy, and then you have too much of a good thing, and then all of the resources are not being used, right? So on this side, it's really about understanding how and when to take action. What commitments do you need to take? What do you need to act upon on? And what do you need to actually make happen proactively? Right? You can't just sit still and wish for things and it will just happen on its own. On the other side of things, really understanding how to pause, how to let go. For example, when you plant a certain plant, when you want to grow a certain vegetable or fruit, you actually need to let it grow, right? You let the plant grow. You can't just keep tampering with the soil to check, has the shoot grow? Has it sprouted yet? Has it, and if you keep checking on it, you might tamper with the plant's ability to just grow on its own, and you interfere with the process, right? These are the people who don't know how to rest and let go, are just going and work and work and work and do and do and do, and then wondering why they're not further along. And this is actually insane. So the synergy between these two environments is to come into again the present moment of being in the flow state. And this is where I call allowing, right? When acting and pausing, efforting and letting go comes together in a right dose, having a nice sweet spot, you have something called effortlessness. Means you're allowing things to happen. And allowing is not passive, it's proactive. It's about being an active participant of life, but understanding when to pause, when to rest, when to recover, when to regenerate, and fill up your own cup so that you can be more sustainable and do more. This in itself is one of the ancient studies that has been going on for many human beings. And this can be seen in Kung Fu, in Tai Chi, in Qigong, in yoga, all the ancient practices is always understanding how, when I put an effort out into the world, can I co-create with life. And this is also where the synchronicity happens, where you're in the right place in the right time, doing the right thing, and the right people come to you. And this is where we're magnetic, and this is where we're attractive. But that doesn't mean we don't put out any effort. We do, but just effort that is completely efficient. Now, there are many ways to do this. Is things like habit stacking, things about having a morning routine, things like, doing the essential things in life. And this is on its own art. And I would love to share more on that. But for now, let's just get this understanding that the active principle and the passive principle, the yang and the yin, has to come together for us to be in a state of coherent. Means when you're done meditating, you gotta go out there, take those insights, act upon your life, have those conversations, take those risks, and that's when all the magic happens in life. All right, I'll see you guys in the next part of this series to complete this whole entire thing with the spiritual environment.